My brother-in-law almost unalived me at a family barbecue and my sister chose his side over mine. He pushed me into deep water knowing I can't swim, then laughed while I nearly drowned. I'm a 26-year-old guy and I need to get this off my chest because I don't know what to do anymore. 3 weeks ago, something happened at my sister's house that changed everything between us. I'm still shaking when I think about it. My sister Bella, 32F, married her husband Matthew, 35M, about 4 years ago. I was 22 then and just finishing college, so I didn't spend much time around him at first. Matthew works in construction and has always been one of those guys who thinks being mean is the same as being funny. He would make jokes about hitting people with hammers or running over pedestrians when he drives. Bella would always laugh and tell me that's just how Matthew is, that he doesn't mean anything by it. After I graduated, I moved back to my hometown and got a job at a marketing firm. Money was tight in my first year, so Bella would invite me over for dinner twice a week. She said it helped her feel close to family since our parents moved to Florida when I graduated. Matthew would always make comments about me eating their food and not paying for it. He'd say things like maybe I should get a second job if I couldn't afford groceries, or that I was taking advantage of Bella's kindness. Bella would tell him to stop but she'd be smiling when she said it, like it was all just playful teasing. The comments got worse over time. Matthew started calling me a freeloader in front of other people. At Bella's birthday party last year, he announced to everyone that I showed up just for the free cake since I was too cheap to buy my own dessert. Everyone laughed but I could see some of our relatives looking uncomfortable. Bella just rolled her eyes and changed the subject. I started visiting less after that, but Bella would guilt me into coming over. She'd say Matthew didn't mean to hurt my feelings and that family should stick together. She kept insisting that Matthew actually liked me and was just showing it in his own weird way. The incident happened 3 weeks ago at their annual Memorial Day barbecue. Bella and Matthew have this big backyard with an above-ground pool that's about 6 feet deep. They invited maybe 20 people, family, neighbors, some of Matthew's work friends. I brought a case of beer and some potato salad I'd bought from the grocery store. Matthew had been drinking since early afternoon. By evening, his jokes were getting nastier. He kept talking about how he wanted to throw annoying people into traffic or push them off bridges. Bella was busy hosting and kept brushing off his comments when people looked concerned. I was sitting on a lawn chair near the pool, checking my phone to see if any of my friends wanted to hang out later. The party was winding down and I was planning to leave soon. Matthew walked over and started talking about how I never contributed anything to these parties except showing up and eating their food. I told him I brought beer and potato salad. He laughed and said that buying groceries wasn't the same as actually helping with anything. This is where I need to give you some important background. When I was 7 years old, I nearly drowned at a community pool. I went underwater and couldn't get back to the surface. A lifeguard had to jump in and pull me out. I was in the hospital for 2 days with water in my lungs. Ever since then, I've been terrified of deep water. I never learned how to swim properly. Bella knows this. Matthew knows this. I've mentioned it multiple times when they tried to get me to go in their pool over the years. So I'm sitting there on my phone, and Matthew is standing behind me still talking about what a burden I am. Then without any warning, he grabbed my shoulders and shoved me hard into the pool. I went straight to the bottom. I was fully clothed, wearing jeans and sneakers, and my phone was in my pocket. The water was over my head and I started panicking immediately. I was flailing around trying to get to the surface but I couldn't coordinate my movements. Water was getting in my nose and mouth. I genuinely thought I was going to die in that moment. Matthew was standing at the edge of the pool laughing. He was pointing at me and making jokes to the other guests about how I looked like a drowning rat. Some people were laughing too, thinking it was just a harmless prank. My sister's neighbor Carol, 50 SF, realized I was actually in trouble. She jumped in fully clothed and grabbed me under my arms. Matthew's coworker Mike helped pull me out. I was coughing up pool water and shaking. My phone was completely ruined. Matthew was still laughing when I got out. He said I looked hilarious flailing around like that. I told him he could have killed me, that he knew I couldn't swim. He rolled his eyes and said if he wanted to kill me, I'd already be dead. Then he walked away to get another beer. Bella came over and asked if I was okay, but she didn't say anything to Matthew about what he'd done. She handed me a towel and suggested I sit down for a while. When I said I was leaving, she asked me to stay and not make a scene. She said Matthew had been drinking and didn't realize how scared I'd get. I drove home soaking wet and spent the rest of the night trying to dry out my wallet and keys. My phone was completely dead. I kept thinking about how I could have drowned in front of 20 people while my brother-in-law laughed about it. The next morning I went to the police station. I told them what happened and they took my statement. The officer said that pushing someone into water when you know they can't swim could be assault or even attempted manslaughter. They opened an investigation and said they'd be in touch. Bella called me that afternoon screaming. She said I was trying to destroy her marriage over a harmless prank. She kept saying Matthew felt terrible about what happened and that he was just drunk and didn't think it through. I told her he showed no remorse at all and that he could have killed me. She said I was being dramatic and that Matthew would never actually hurt anyone. 2 days later, the police arrested Matthew at his job. He was charged with assault and reckless endangerment. Bella called me crying, saying I was ruining their lives. She said Matthew might lose his job because he works for the county and can't have a criminal record. She begged me to drop the charges. I told her no. Matthew knew I couldn't swim and pushed me into deep water anyway. He laughed while I thought I was drowning. That's not a prank, that's assault. Bella got furious. She said if I went through with this, she'd never speak to me again. She said I was choosing to destroy my own family over something stupid. She hung up on me. Matthew made bail the same day. Since then, half our family has been calling me asking me to drop the charges. Matthew's parents have been telling everyone that I'm vindictive and trying to send an innocent man to prison. Bella has been posting on social media about how families should forgive each other and move on from mistakes. But some people who were at the party have been reaching out to support me. Carol, the neighbor who pulled me out, called to say she'd testify if needed. She said what Matthew did was completely wrong and that she was scared I was actually going to drown. Mike, Matthew's coworker, texted me saying he was shocked by how Matthew reacted afterward and that he'd never seen someone show so little concern for almost killing someone. The preliminary hearing is next week. Bella texted me yesterday saying she and Matthew wouldn't be able to forgive me if I testified. She said I was choosing revenge over family. I haven't responded to her yet. I keep thinking about how she watched her husband nearly kill me and then asked me not to make a scene. I keep thinking about how she's more worried about Matthew's job than about the fact that I almost died. Am I wrong for pressing charges? Should I drop this and try to move on for the sake of my family? I just can't understand how someone can push a person who can't swim into deep water and call it a joke. Update 1: A lot has happened since my last post. Thank you to everyone who supported me and told me I was doing the right thing. I needed to hear that because my family made me feel like I was crazy for pressing charges. The preliminary hearing went forward as scheduled. I testified about what happened and about my history with water. Matthew's lawyer tried to make it seem like I was overreacting to a harmless prank, but the prosecutor had statements from Carol and Mike about how I was clearly in distress in the water and how Matthew showed no concern afterward. The judge ruled there was enough evidence for trial. Matthew was looking angry the whole time, and Bella was sitting behind him glaring at me like I was the one who had done something wrong. About a month before the trial was supposed to start, the DA called me to discuss a plea deal. Matthew's lawyer had approached them wanting to negotiate. The offer was for Matthew to plead guilty to a misdemeanor reckless endangerment charge. He'd get 45 days in county jail, 300 hours of community service, and have to take anger management classes. He'd also have to pay to replace my phone and cover my medical bills from that night. The DA asked what I thought. I was honestly relieved because I didn't want to go through a full trial with my family watching and hating me. I agreed to the plea deal. Matthew took the plea the following week. When he stood up in court and admitted he recklessly endangered my life, Bella started crying. Afterward, she came up to me in the courthouse parking lot and started screaming that I had destroyed her marriage. She said Matthew was a good man who made one mistake, and I had turned it into a criminal case to get revenge on him for not liking me. I tried to explain that Matthew had shown no remorse and that he could have killed me, but she wouldn't listen. She said she never wanted to see me again and that I was dead to her. Then she got in her car and drove away. That was 6 weeks ago. Since then, I've had no contact with Bella at all. Our Aunt Linda called me last week to say that Bella had blocked my number and told everyone in the family not to mention my name around her anymore. Bella apparently told people that I'm vindictive and that she can't trust me anymore. Matthew served his 45 days and got out 2 weeks ago. According to Linda, he didn't lose his county job, but he's on probation for a year and has to complete the community service and anger management. Some of our cousins have reached out to me privately to say they think I did the right thing, but they don't want to get involved in the family drama. A few people have stopped talking to me entirely because they think I went too far. The hardest part is that Bella was the only close family I had nearby. Our parents are in Florida and getting older. Bella and I used to talk every few days and see each other weekly. Now I don't have any family in my day-to-day life. I've been keeping busy with work and started dating someone new. Sarah, 28F, is really supportive and says she can't believe Bella chose Matthew over me after what he did. But I still miss having my sister in my life, even though I know I made the right choice by pressing charges. I thought Bella would eventually come around and realize that Matthew's actions were serious. But it's been 2 months since the plea hearing and she hasn't reached out at all. I'm starting to accept that our relationship might be over permanently. I don't regret pressing charges. Matthew nearly killed me and showed no remorse. But I didn't expect it would cost me my relationship with my sister forever. Update 2: I never expected to post here again, but something happened last week that changes everything. I got a phone call from Bella for the first time in 6 months. She was crying and apologizing over and over. She said she was sorry for not believing me and for choosing Matthew's side. At first I thought maybe she was drunk or something because she was barely making sense. Then she told me what happened. Matthew has a 15-year-old daughter from his first marriage named Katie. Katie had been living with her mother in another state, but her mom got remarried last month and her new husband got a job transfer. Katie moved in with Bella and Matthew 2 weeks ago. Last Friday, Bella was at work and Matthew was home with Katie. They were having people over for a pool party that weekend, so Matthew was cleaning the pool area. Katie was sitting outside doing homework on her laptop. Matthew walked over and started making his usual mean jokes. He told Katie she needed to stop being antisocial and spend time with the family instead of hiding behind her computer. Katie said she was just trying to finish her assignment. Then Matthew grabbed Katie and pushed her into the pool, just like he did to me. Katie can swim, but not very well. She managed to get to the side and pull herself out, but she was scared and soaking wet. Her laptop was ruined. When she started crying, Matthew told her to stop being a baby and that it was just a joke. Katie called her mother immediately. Her mom drove 6 hours to pick her up that same night. The next morning, Katie's mother filed a police report for child endangerment. She also called her lawyer about getting full custody back and moving Katie out of state permanently. When the police came to interview Matthew, they found the report for my case in the system. Suddenly Matthew's lawyer was telling him he was in serious trouble because this showed a pattern of dangerous behavior. Bella said that when she found out about the police report, something clicked in her brain. She realized that what Matthew did to Katie was exactly what he did to me. She said she couldn't deny anymore that Matthew has a problem with pushing people into water when he's angry with them. Bella told Matthew she wanted him to get help and take responsibility for his actions. Matthew got furious and said she was overreacting just like I had. He said Katie was fine and that everyone was being too sensitive. He said if Bella didn't support him, he'd find someone who would. Bella filed for divorce 3 days ago. She also got a restraining order because Matthew showed up at her work drunk and started yelling at her in the parking lot about how she was destroying his life just like I did. She's staying with our Aunt Linda right now. She asked if I would be willing to give a statement to the police about my case to help Katie's mother with the custody hearing. She said Matthew is trying to convince everyone that Katie is lying and that nothing happened. I told Bella I'd help Katie, but that I wasn't ready to forgive her for how she treated me. She said she understood and that she hoped maybe we could work things out eventually. I called the detective on Katie's case yesterday. She said my statement would be very helpful because it establishes that Matthew has done this before. Matthew's lawyer had been claiming that Katie misunderstood what happened and that Matthew was just playing around. But with my case on record, it's harder for them to say it was innocent. The detective also told me that Matthew had been emotionally cruel to Katie in other ways during the 2 weeks she lived there. He would make fun of her appearance and call her stupid when she didn't understand something. He took her phone away as punishment for calling her mother after the pool incident. Katie's mother thanked me when I spoke to her on the phone. She said Katie was really shaken up and that knowing there was another victim made her feel less alone. She's confident she'll get full custody now and that Katie won't have to see Matthew unsupervised again. Bella asked if I'd be willing to meet with her next week to talk. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that yet. Part of me wants to rebuild our relationship, but I'm still hurt that it took Matthew hurting someone else for her to believe that what he did to me was wrong. I'm glad I pressed charges 6 months ago. If I hadn't, there wouldn't be a police record of Matthew's behavior, and Katie's mother might have had a harder time proving her case. Sometimes doing the right thing takes time to pay off, but it eventually does. Update 3. This will be my last update. A lot has been resolved, though not in the way I expected when this all started. I did meet with Bella 3 months ago. She looked terrible, she had lost weight and seemed exhausted. She was staying with Linda and had been going through the divorce process. Matthew had been fighting everything and making it as difficult as possible. Bella told me more about what happened with Katie. After Matthew pushed her in the pool, he didn't just tell her to stop being a baby. He also took away her phone and laptop as punishment for calling her mother. He said she was being dramatic and that if she couldn't handle a simple joke, she wasn't mature enough for electronics. Bella said she was the one who secretly gave Katie her phone back so she could call her mom to pick her up. When Matthew found out, he screamed at Bella for undermining his authority over his daughter. Bella also admitted that Matthew had been controlling their finances and making decisions without consulting her. She said she felt trapped in the marriage but convinced herself that Matthew's behavior was normal because he never physically hit her. She didn't realize how bad things were until she saw him do to Katie exactly what he'd done to me. I told Bella I was glad she was safe, but that I wasn't ready to act like everything was normal between us. She said she understood and didn't expect me to forgive her right away. Katie's custody case went smoothly. With my police report backing up her mother's claims, Matthew couldn't convincingly argue that the pool incident was harmless. Katie's mother was granted full custody and moved Katie back to their home state. Matthew gets supervised visits twice a year at most. Matthew was charged with child endangerment and probation violation because of the Katie incident. Since he already had the conviction from my case, the judge gave him 6 months in county jail and 2 more years of probation. His county job finally fired him. Bella's divorce was finalized last month. Matthew had to give her half of everything, including the house. He moved in with his parents and has to pay Bella alimony for 3 years. Bella has reached out to me a few times since our meeting, but I've kept our interactions brief. She sends me texts on holidays and my birthday. She asked if I wanted to come to Thanksgiving at Linda's house, but I made other plans. The truth is, I don't think our relationship will ever be the same. Bella spent 6 months telling everyone I was vindictive and destructive to my own family. She chose to believe Matthew's version of events even after watching him nearly kill me. It took him hurting a child for her to admit I was telling the truth. I'm dating Sarah seriously now and she's become my main support system. I've made some good friends through work and hobbies. I don't feel like I'm missing family the way I thought I would. Katie's mother sends me updates sometimes. Katie is doing well and is getting counseling to deal with what happened. She's back to her normal activities and doesn't have to see Matthew except for those supervised visits. I'm glad I pressed charges against Matthew, even though it cost me my relationship with Bella. Katie is safe now, and there's a record of Matthew's behavior if he ever tries to hurt someone else. Sometimes protecting people means making hard choices that other people won't understand. Bella made her choice when she decided Matthew's reputation was more important than my safety. I've made my choice to focus on people who actually care about my well-being. I'm doing fine without her. Now let's move to the next story. Story 2. My sister's surprise pregnancy announcement ruined my bachelorette party and invited our estranged aunt. So I kicked her out of my wedding and started a family fight. I, 28F, never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am. My sister Nicole, 32F, has always been the golden child in our family. Growing up, she was the popular one, the pretty one, the one who always got what she wanted. I learned to live with it, but it wasn't easy. Our childhood was filled with instances of Nicole overshadowing me. When I won my first spelling bee in 3rd grade, Nicole got the lead in the school play the same week. My parents missed my spelling bee to attend her rehearsal. When I graduated high school with honors, Nicole announced she'd been accepted into an Ivy League college. Even my achievements felt hollow in comparison to hers. This dynamic continued into our adult lives. When I got my first promotion at work, Nicole landed a prestigious job at a Fortune 500 company. When I bought my first car, Nicole bought a house. It always felt like I was one step behind, always in her shadow. Despite all this, I tried to maintain a good relationship with Nicole. We'd meet for coffee every few weeks, and I'd listen to her talk about her latest accomplishments. I told myself that it wasn't a competition, that I should be happy for my sister's success. But deep down, it always stung. When I met Alex, 30M, 3 years ago, I finally felt like I had something that was just mine. We met at a local book club. I'd always loved reading, but never had much time for it with my busy job. Alex was new in town, a software engineer who'd moved here for work. He was kind, funny, and most importantly, he saw me for who I was, not as Nicole's little sister. Our relationship progressed quickly. Within 6 months, we'd moved in together. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was on equal footing with Nicole. I had a great job, a wonderful boyfriend, and a life I was proud of. When Alex proposed last year, I was over the moon. Finally, I thought, I'd have my moment in the spotlight. Planning the wedding was a whirlwind. I asked Nicole to be my maid of honor, partly because I genuinely wanted her there, and partly because I knew my parents would expect it. Nicole seemed excited, offering to help with everything from dress shopping to choosing the venue. As the big day approached, my friends decided to throw me a bachelorette party. It wasn't anything crazy, just a night out with my closest friends and Nicole. We went to a nice restaurant, one of those fancy places where you need to make reservations months in advance. I felt special, surrounded by people who were there just for me. We were halfway through the main course when Nicole suddenly stood up and clinked her glass. The restaurant quieted down, and all eyes turned to her. I thought she was going to make a toast, maybe share a cute story about us growing up. Instead, she announced that she was pregnant. The room erupted in cheers and congratulations. Everyone was hugging her and asking questions about the baby. How far along was she? Did she know the gender yet? Had she thought of names? I sat there, stunned, my half-eaten meal growing cold in front of me. My bachelorette party, the one night that was supposed to be about me, and she had to make it about herself. Again. I tried to keep my cool, plastering a smile on my face as I hugged her and offered my congratulations. But inside, I was seething. The rest of the night was a blur. My friends tried to bring the focus back to me and the wedding, but it was too late. Nicole's pregnancy was all anyone could talk about. By the time we left the restaurant, I felt deflated and angry. When we got home, I confronted Nicole. I asked her why she couldn't have waited until after the wedding to share her news. She got defensive, saying she was excited and wanted to share it with everyone. We argued, voices rising as years of pent-up frustration came pouring out. "You always do this," I shouted. "Every time I have something good in my life, you have to one-up me." Nicole looked shocked. "What are you talking about? I thought you'd be happy for me." "Happy? How can I be happy when you've ruined my bachelorette party? This was supposed to be my night, Nicole. For once in my life, I wanted the attention to be on me." The argument escalated from there. Nicole accused me of being selfish and immature. I accused her of being attention-seeking and inconsiderate. It all came to a head when I told her that if she couldn't let me have one day to myself, then maybe she shouldn't come to the wedding at all. Nicole left in tears, and now our family is in chaos. Our parents are furious with me, saying I'm being selfish and that family is more important than a silly party. Dad called me the next day, his voice gruff with disappointment. "Your sister is carrying your future niece or nephew," he said. "How can you be so cold?" My friends are split, some think I overreacted, while others understand why I'm upset. My best friend, Lily, told me she gets why I'm angry but thinks banning Nicole from the wedding is going too far. You'll regret it if she's not there, she warned. Alex is trying to be supportive, but I can tell he's uncomfortable with the whole situation. He comes from a close-knit family and doesn't really understand the complicated dynamics between Nicole and me. He suggested that maybe we could all sit down and talk it out, but the thought of facing Nicole and my parents right now makes me feel sick. The wedding is in 2 months, and I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to stick to my guns and keep Nicole out of the wedding. After all, this is supposed to be my special day, and I'm tired of her stealing the spotlight. But another part feels guilty for causing so much drama. Am I really willing to create a rift in my family over this? I've always prided myself on being the rational one, the peacekeeper. But now I find myself at the center of a family feud, and I'm not sure how to fix it. The stress is starting to affect other aspects of my life. I'm having trouble sleeping, and I've been distracted at work. My boss even pulled me aside yesterday to ask if everything was okay. I'm starting to wonder if I'm overreacting. Maybe I should just swallow my pride and apologize to Nicole. But every time I think about doing that, I remember all the times she's overshadowed me, all the times I've had to play second fiddle. Is it so wrong to want one day that's just about me? The invitations have been sent, the venue booked, the dress altered. Everything is ready for what's supposed to be the happiest day of my life. But instead of feeling excited, I'm filled with dread. Will I be able to enjoy my wedding day knowing that I've caused this rift in my family? Or will I regret it forever if Nicole isn't there? I never thought I'd be asking strangers on the internet for advice about my wedding, but here I am. Am I the asshole for kicking my sister out of my wedding over this? Should I stand my ground or try to make amends? I'm lost and could really use some outside perspective. Update 1. It's been a week since my last post, and things have only gotten more complicated. I want to thank everyone for their comments and advice. It's given me a lot to think about. After reading your responses, I realized I needed to have a calm, honest conversation with Nicole. I invited her over to talk things out. At first, it was tense. We both had our guards up, ready for another fight. But as we started talking, something changed. Nicole broke down and admitted that she'd been struggling with infertility for years. She and her husband Tom, 34M, had been trying to conceive for the past 3 years with no success. This pregnancy was unexpected and felt like a miracle to her. She said she announced it at my bachelorette party because she was overwhelmed with emotion and wasn't thinking clearly. I felt terrible. All this time, I'd been so focused on my own feelings that I never considered what Nicole might be going through. We cried together, and for the first time in years, I felt like I was really connecting with my sister. We talked for hours, bringing up old hurts and misunderstandings. Nicole admitted that she often felt pressure to be perfect because our parents always compared us. She said she never realized how much it had affected me. As we delved deeper into our childhood memories, Nicole revealed something that shocked me. She said that when I won that spelling bee in 3rd grade, she had deliberately gotten the lead in the school play to make our parents proud. She thought that if she didn't constantly achieve, our parents would be disappointed in her. This revelation made me see our entire childhood in a new light. All those times I thought Nicole was trying to overshadow me, she was actually trying to live up to impossible standards set by our parents. It didn't excuse her behavior, but it helped me understand it better. We talked about the Ivy League college incident too. Nicole confessed that she had been terrified of not getting in, and when she did, her excitement overtook everything else. She said she regretted not celebrating my high school graduation properly. As for her job at the Fortune 500 company, Nicole admitted that it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. The hours were grueling, the stress was overwhelming, and she often felt like she was sacrificing her personal life for her career. She said she envied the balance I had managed to achieve in my life. By the end of our conversation, we'd both apologized and agreed to work on our relationship. I told Nicole that of course she could come to the wedding. We even talked about her being my matron of honor, as we'd originally planned. Everything seemed to be looking up. We started making plans for the wedding again, talking about her matron of honor speech and how we could incorporate her pregnancy into the celebration without overshadowing the main event. For the first time in years, I felt like I had my sister back. But then came the bombshell. As Nicole was leaving, she casually mentioned that she'd invited our estranged Aunt Linda, 55F, to the wedding. Aunt Linda and our mom had a huge falling out years ago over some family property, and they haven't spoken since. Mom always said she'd never be in the same room as Linda again. The story behind the fallout is complicated. Aunt Linda and Mom inherited our grandparents' beach house when they passed away. Mom wanted to keep it in the family as a vacation home, but Aunt Linda wanted to sell it and split the money. They argued about it for months, each accusing the other of being greedy and disrespecting our grandparents' memory. The situation came to a head when Aunt Linda put the house on the market without telling Mom. When Mom found out, she was furious. She accused Aunt Linda of going behind her back and betraying her trust. Aunt Linda argued that she had every right to sell her half of the property. The argument got so heated that they stopped speaking to each other altogether. The beach house ended up being sold, but the damage to their relationship was already done. That was 10 years ago, and they haven't spoken since. Every family gathering since then has been divided, with people having to choose which sister to invite. Now I'm faced with a new dilemma. Do I uninvite Aunt Linda and risk starting a new fight with Nicole? Do I keep quiet and deal with the inevitable drama when Mom sees Linda at the wedding? Or do I confront Nicole about overstepping her boundaries once again? I thought everything was resolved, but now I feel like I'm back at square one. The wedding is getting closer, and the stress is really starting to get to me. Alex has been incredibly supportive through all of this, but I can tell it's wearing on him too. He suggested we elope, only half jokingly. Part of me is tempted to take him up on that offer. It would certainly solve a lot of problems. But another part of me has been dreaming of this wedding for so long, I don't want to give it up because of family drama. I'm also worried about how this will affect my relationship with Nicole going forward. We just had this breakthrough, and I don't want to jeopardize our newfound understanding. But at the same time, I can't believe she would invite Aunt Linda without discussing it with me first. I'm torn between my desire for family harmony and my need to have some control over my own wedding. I know I need to make a decision soon, but I'm paralyzed by indecision. Every choice seems like it will lead to more drama and hurt feelings. I'll keep you all updated on what happens next. Any advice on how to handle this new wrinkle would be greatly appreciated. Update 2. Things have taken an unexpected turn, and I'm not sure how to feel about it. After my last update, I decided to talk to Nicole about inviting Aunt Linda. I wanted to handle it calmly and rationally, to avoid another blow-up. I invited Nicole over again, and we sat down to talk. I explained that while I appreciated her trying to bring the family together, inviting Aunt Linda without consulting me or our parents wasn't okay. Nicole listened, and to my surprise, she agreed. She apologized and offered to call Aunt Linda to uninvite her. Just as I thought we'd resolved another issue, my mom called. She was crying and upset. Apparently, Aunt Linda had already called her to say how excited she was about coming to the wedding and reconnecting with the family. Mom was furious, accusing me of going behind her back and trying to ambush her at my own wedding. I tried to explain that it was all a misunderstanding, that Nicole had invited Aunt Linda without telling me, and that we were going to uninvite her. But Mom wouldn't listen. She said if Aunt Linda was coming, she and Dad wouldn't attend the wedding. I was stunned. My own parents were threatening to skip my wedding over this. I told Mom I'd sort it out and call her back, but inside, I was reeling. After Mom hung up, Nicole and I sat in silence for a while. Then Nicole surprised me again. She suggested that maybe this was an opportunity to heal our family. She pointed out that it had been years since the original fight, and maybe it was time to move past it. As we discussed the possibility, Nicole shared some information that shed new light on the situation. Apparently, she had been in touch with Aunt Linda over the years, keeping her updated on family news. Aunt Linda had expressed regret over the falling out with Mom and had been looking for a way to reconcile. Nicole also revealed that the beach house situation wasn't as black and white as we'd been led to believe. According to Aunt Linda, she had wanted to sell the house because she was in financial trouble at the time. She had lost her job and was struggling to make ends meet, but she had been too proud to tell Mom about her problems. This new information made me see the whole situation differently. What if this wedding could be an opportunity for healing, not just for Nicole and me, but for our entire family? I didn't know what to think. On one hand, the idea of having our whole family together for my wedding was appealing. On the other hand, I was terrified of the potential drama and the risk of my parents not showing up. Alex came home in the middle of this discussion. When we filled him in, he had an interesting perspective. He suggested that we invite both Aunt Linda and our parents, but seat them far apart and have a few trusted friends or relatives run interference to prevent any confrontations. He also proposed the idea of having a family meeting before the wedding, with a neutral third party present to mediate. This way, Mom and Aunt Linda could potentially clear the air without the added pressure of it being at the actual wedding. Now I'm torn. Do I try to reunite the family and risk ruining my wedding day? Do I uninvite Aunt Linda and deal with Nicole's disappointment? Or do I put my foot down and tell everyone to leave their drama at home? I decided to sleep on it before making any decisions. The next day, I called my dad to get his perspective. To my surprise, he was more open to the idea of reconciliation than Mom had been. He admitted that he missed his sister-in-law and thought that 10 years was a long time to hold a grudge. This conversation gave me hope that maybe, just maybe, we could make this work. But I'm still nervous about how Mom will react. She can be stubborn when she feels she's been wronged, and I'm worried that she'll dig her heels in even more if she feels like everyone is ganging up on her. The wedding is now just a month away, and instead of feeling excited, I'm feeling overwhelmed and anxious. I never wanted my wedding to be the stage for a family reunion drama. I always imagined it would be a day of love and celebration, not a potential powder keg of family tensions. I'm going to take a few days to think everything over before making a final decision. I want to talk to Alex more about it too. After all, this is his wedding as well, and I want to make sure he's comfortable with whatever we decide. I'll update again once I've made a decision. Wish me luck, I have a feeling I'm going to need it. Update 3. Well, the wedding happened, and it was eventful, to say the least. After much deliberation, Alex and I decided to invite both Aunt Linda and our parents. We figured it was better to give everyone the choice to attend rather than make the decision for them. The week leading up to the wedding was tense. Mom refused to talk to me, communicating only through Dad. Nicole was walking on eggshells, afraid of causing any more drama. I was a bundle of nerves, alternating between excitement for my big day and dread about the potential family showdown. The ceremony itself was beautiful. I managed to push all the family drama out of my mind and focus on marrying the love of my life. Alex looked handsome in his suit, and when we said our vows, I felt like the luckiest woman in the world. For those precious moments, all the stress and worry melted away. The reception, however, was where things got interesting. We had seated Aunt Linda and my parents on opposite sides of the room, with trusted friends keeping an eye on both parties. For a while, it seemed like our plan was working. Mom steadfastly ignored Aunt Linda's presence, while Aunt Linda seemed content to catch up with other relatives she hadn't seen in years. But then, during the speeches, Nicole stood up to give her matron of honor toast. She started talking about family and forgiveness, and how happy she was that everyone could be there to celebrate. I saw my mom tense up, and I knew what was coming. Before Nicole could finish, Mom stood up and started yelling about how dare she try to manipulate everyone like this. Aunt Linda, never one to back down from a fight, jumped in to defend Nicole. Soon, they were both shouting across the room, airing decades of dirty laundry in front of all our guests. Alex's family looked horrified. My friends were trying to calm everyone down. And me? I just sat there, watching my worst fears come to life. All I could think was, I should have eloped. Finally, Alex stood up and in a voice I'd never heard him use before, told everyone to sit down and be quiet. He said that this was our wedding day, and if anyone had a problem with that, they could leave. To my surprise, it worked. Both Mom and Aunt Linda sat down, looking embarrassed. The rest of the reception was tense, but at least there were no more outbursts. Nicole apologized profusely, saying she never meant for any of this to happen. I believe her, but I'm still upset that our big day was marred by family drama. Surprisingly, something good did come out of this disaster. The next day, Mom and Aunt Linda met for coffee. I don't know what was said, but they emerged after 2 hours looking tired but relieved. They're not best friends again, but at least they're talking. It's a start. Alex and I left for our honeymoon the day after, grateful to get away from it all. We spent 2 blissful weeks in Bali, far from family drama and wedding stress. It was exactly what we needed to reconnect and remember why we got married in the first place. Now that we're back, I'm not sure where to go from here. Mom isn't speaking to me or Nicole, still upset about the whole situation. Aunt Linda keeps trying to arrange family therapy sessions, which Mom flatly refuses to attend. Dad is stuck in the middle, trying to keep the peace. I'm exhausted from it all. I love my family, but I'm starting to think some distance might be necessary. Alex and I are talking about moving to a new city for his job. Part of me feels guilty for even considering it, but another part feels like it might be the fresh start we need. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing: I'm incredibly grateful for Alex. Through all of this chaos, he's been my rock. He's shown patience, understanding, and strength I never knew he had. Whatever happens with my family, I know we'll face it together. Looking back, I wonder if I should have handled things differently. Maybe I overreacted to Nicole's pregnancy announcement. Maybe I should have put my foot down about Aunt Linda coming to the wedding. But what's done is done, and all I can do now is move forward. I'm trying to focus on the positives. I'm married to an amazing man. Nicole and I have a better understanding of each other now. And who knows, maybe this whole ordeal will lead to some long overdue healing in our family.